Persuasion.
How about a game? It's $50 a game, and the rule is...
I don't have the money!
Oh. Please come again.
What do you have there?
Evangelion.
Neon Genesis Evangelion. Wow. What does he do?
Well, he's a good guy, he can fly, and he has a silver sword that can kill bad guys.
All right, we're just doing this now then, baby. We're going... Oh, fuck, hang on. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Fuck me, man. Okay, God! All right, kiddos. Papa's back. And I'll be honest, I've been dealing with a host of shit being flung at me by life while I was away, so sorry it's been so long. It's pretty rough living on the run just because a whole house full of people happen to disappear next door to you and be supposedly found under your floorboards. I mean, people these days are just so judgmental. How was I supposed to know that's where they were? On the upside, I moved apartments and got myself one whole ass big chunky boy called Big Mac to make my serotonin go burr, because God knows nothing else outside is helping with that shit in the last few months. Anyways, let's talk about video games before I need to drink the voices away under a tall glass of rum and coke.
First layer.
Man, lately I've had no real luck with finding something to play. Nothing's really caught my eyes. Oh, don't worry about the 80 hours plus I've spent here. It was all ironic, okay? Every minute of it, I promise. Oh, man. There's a bunch here, but just, I don't know, nothing I'm in the mood for. Nothing's grabbing me, really. There's nothing standing out. It's all just kinda... Oh. Well, hello there, lovely. What the hell are you?
Magrunner. Dark Pulse.
In the 21st century, the Gluckersberg Corporation rose to a position of world dominance. By 2035, their LifeNet Total Existence Network had linked billions of people across the globe, encompassing social, economic, government, private and public services within one monstrous, ever-evolving system. With LifeNet and the corporation's vast financial resources, Gluckersberg accomplished what governments could only hope for. A worldwide populace that wanted to conform, and that was willing to sacrifice privacy for security, safety, and interaction. The CEO, Kram Gluckersberg, pooled tens of thousands of scientists together to find a new source of free energy to be used for space exploration. The result was magnetic technology. Gluckersberg's space program would be a 3-month test of not only magtech, but also citizen explorers, astronauts chosen from the populace. After worldwide selection trials that tested the applicants' athletic capabilities and knowledge of mathematics, physics, and psychology, 7 candidates were chosen to enter Gluckersberg's training facility. These 7, selected from scientists, athletes, and civilians, would take Gluckersberg's technology to the stars. Gluckersberg called them his Magrunners.
This game is weird, man. Like, real weird. When I first saw it, I gotta admit I saw the description of it as a first-person puzzle game with a Lovecraftian horror influence, and I thought surely this game was made by the gods above just for me. I mean, like, of all things to mix together, it's just sort of an odd choice. Not that it's bad or anything, just that the mixture becomes a sort of weird half-and-half situation that is often wild and interesting as well as horribly broken depending on how hard you look in any given direction. It's clearly influenced by games like Portal and Lovecraft to a degree, though how much of each is added into the final product is dubious at best. Really wish it went harder on either, but what we ended up getting is more of a rounded out title with less punch and gumption than much of its counterparts. Of course, that didn't stop me from writing a 20-minute review about the damn thing. Let's back it up for a second before we go any further, because I feel like in order to talk about this game at all, first I need to introduce the company that made it in the first place. A small Ukrainian studio called Frogwares that you probably don't know by name, but might know for either those Sherlock Holmes games that I assume somebody is playing, and a little gem called The Sinking City, which I really do love despite all of its issues. In fact, it's because of that love I started looking into the studio itself and found that they've been having a rough go of it with all of their publishers for quite some time, and at this point I finally decided to just self-publish their own stuff. Given that, I decided to go to their website and buy some of their games directly from them so I could support them to some degree. I wanted to grab something I hadn't touched so far, so in the depths of their back catalog I found a little gem called Magrunner, and I don't know, something about it transfixed me, I guess. So with that, you're probably wondering just what the hell a Magrunner is, and why of all the games I could possibly talk about, I chose it if it's a solid meh all the way through. I wish I could explain why I do the things I do, but my doctor says I'm not responsible for my own actions, and that's good enough for me. What I can say, though, is that the best way to describe this game is within its own subgenre of Portal-like games such as Cube or Quantum Conundrum. It stands firmly at the bottom, and if not for its unique theme and setup, I probably wouldn't have been fixated by it at all. I would describe the gameplay as if Portal was based in an engine with absolutely zero physics, and instead of a main antagonist that's threatening, you get this dude talking about your dead parents all the goddamn time for no reason. Not to mention the fact that for some godforsaken reason, this game on top of it all has decided to have both combat and boss fight, which feels so crusty, it makes 35mm feel like a masterpiece. I mean, look at this shit. These are supposed to be threatening, but I'm too busy trying to figure out how the hell to use the combat system in this game to take it seriously. Whoa there now, Mr. Negative. There's gotta be something good if you're willing to talk about this game, right? You're right, my single fan. There is indeed something about this game I like. Quite a few things, actually, despite them often feeling not as fleshed out as they could be. For one, the game uses magnets and polarity as the main gameplay hook instead of portals, which means to my pea-brain that barely even understands how magnets work, it makes for interesting and thoughtful puzzles with its limited systems. In fact, despite the lack of a super in-depth physics system in the engine itself, you can clearly see that despite their budget of a few Big Macs and a bottle of Pop-Off, the team managed to stretch out a pretty interesting amount of puzzles from what is a simple gameplay setup. I mean, some of this shit really managed to make me think, because despite its issues, these puzzles and the limited gameplay are generally brought out to their absolute best as long as you're willing to look past a few of its issues and not look too hard at anything in the game for any given amount of time. Don't look over there. Don't look too hard, alright? Stop that.
Second layer.
Overall, though, the gameplay is simply one of the aspects that really struck me. To be honest, if that were the only thing, I doubt even I would have stuck by the whole thing. No, what added to it for me was the actual setup of the world from the gate is somewhat interesting, with you playing the role of some white dude in the near future where mega corporations have taken over and the poor souls at the bottom, aka you, have to fight to make just enough money to get by and pay the bills. Sorta like I already have to do in the modern day. I'm sure that's not anything to worry about. Anyway, your guy here, John Whiteman, is participating in a big puzzle-solving competition run by one of these mega corporations, which rewards you with a full-time position, or money, or something like that. I'll be honest, I wasn't paying as well of attention as I could have. Of course, being that you are on the bottom rung of society, you play the role of an underdog that just managed to squeeze your way into the competition in the first place, causing everyone during the start of the game to generally look down on you with some pity rather than respect you as you face off against other Chad puzzle solvers.
Look, Miss Shin, I have the same chances as the other Magrunners at passing. I don't see why you keep...
Same chances? Oh, of course. Same chances.
Right. I'll tell you what, Dax. How about an exclusive interview and the front page of LifeNet Science Online?
Sure. Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, things don't exactly go according to plan, and shit hits the fan pretty quickly once things really get going, as eventually you become the last man standing after an accident, quote unquote, in which good old Cthulhu is summoned. From this point on, the rest of the game becomes a really neat mix of those behind-the-scenes sections from Portal where you make your way through the back rooms. No, not those ones. Until you somehow end up eventually in a weird pocket space dimension thing. Yeah, I know how weird that sounds. But overall, for the most part, it's a pretty simple story of trying to hunt down the dude that summoned Cthulhu in the first place and putting a stop to him in a really poor boss fight. That's just, I mean, just look at this. Oh, just take a look. Past the setup, unfortunately, the story is, well, lacking, outside of people talking to you over your wrist intercom thingy, which is sometimes a cool 3D hologram projector thing, and other times just a phone on your wrist where they don't have character models to display. Granted, even when they do have character models, the animation tends to be a bit, limited, but with what it's there for, I think it does a good job, at least, of giving you some feeling of character and design of the outside world. I mean, your granddad dude here is this really cool alien-looking thing that's just sort of never explained or really mentioned, but I want to know more about. I mean, what the hell's going on here? Does this imply that there's just aliens on Earth, or what the hell does that imply? Please show me more of that? I mean, if aliens do exist in this world, then, like, isn't the whole fear of Cthulhu being some unspeakable thing outside in the universe a little bit less scary when you know that aliens already exist? Doesn't that take away from it? Whatever, it's probably not important.
Final later.
Hang on. Cthulhu can wait a second. I gotta take a cigarette from my vape.
Oh, okay. Fuck yeah, let's go. Alright, let's do it.
I just really wish we got to see more of the outside world, you know? Not that it's the best ever or anything, but I'm genuinely sad about not getting to see these other Chad puzzle-solving champs that get offhandedly mentioned as if the sound of a bunch of Gordon Freeman Chad nerds solving a bunch of puzzles in a competition isn't the most interesting part of this game. Instead of any of that, we get a pretty straightforward story of trying to escape past the point with the occasional very out-of-nowhere twist that you find out your parents were part of a cult for some reason. Alright, man, seems a little disconnected as I'm trying to escape from this hell with my life, but go off, I guess, foster dad. What I'm saying is, it ends up falling a little short of what it probably could be in the end, but what it does do and what it does have is a neat little backdrop for what is altogether a game focused more on puzzles than plot, so I guess for me I don't mind it much since the chambers and puzzle setups tended to be enough to keep my interest for the most part, despite obvious flaws and jank gameplay. So yeah, this game is a pretty spicy little nut, eh? Just a weird combination resulting in a sort of half-finished and unpolished final project that is both hard to love and hard to recommend for most normal people. Of course, thank God I'm not normal, so I'm gonna recommend it anyway if you like this type of game. If you can look past the flaws of the gameplay and design failures, what is there is pretty neat to explore for an afternoon or two, despite this game not exactly being the top of the pack in this type of genre. But it's not like we get games like this much anymore, so if you've been looking for something to scratch that itch, this might at least be worth checking out. Despite limitation, there's some pretty nice set pieces, which look and sound okay, outside of the fact that you can clearly tell some of the textures are, off, and that most of the music comes from generic music libraries or is often reused. I think I've heard the same goddamn horror sting 300 times in this game alone. You know, the one they use in all those cheap, schlocky horror movies, like the violins, that one. That's there, like, all the time.
It is now Big Mac time.
Oh god, Big Mac has just jumped up onto my desk. Oh, buddy, you need to get off of there. Buddy, come here. Big Mac, say something for the say something for the people, baby.
Big love.
Say something, Big Mac. No? You're just gonna be quiet?
Big Mac time.
What a waste. Alright, so I guess Big Mac is just here for the last part of this. Like, as long as you don't look too hard in any given direction and can laugh a little bit at these goofy-ass boys trying to slurp your brain goo, then you can have some fun here for the most part without too much restriction. Do I think this game deserves a particularly huge following or anything? Probably not. I mean, it's jank as hell, and that's saying something coming from the guy who thinks tank controls feel good. However, give it a chance if you like puzzle games and you do like Lovecraftian horror, because this does a pretty good job of it all, despite the fact that what is there and is Lovecraftian is very much in the background, despite it being in the forefront. If that makes sense, it's kind of hard to describe, but it doesn't really go too hard on it for any reason. Which might be for the best, because Lovecraft is a real piece of shit and doesn't deserve any and all fame that he's gotten. I mean, man deserves to rot in hell and hopefully die unknown. Hopefully that happens eventually here, since everybody and anybody has done better with his work than he ever did. But hey man, I don't mean to go off like this. I'm just saying you might enjoy this if you like his stuff, despite the fact that he's kind of a real shithead. However, if you want something more Lovecraftian focused with a bit more going on, I really recommend The Sinking City, because that shit slaps. Anyway, I'm going back into a drunken coma, so see you when I wake up if I do at all.
Edit transmission. Look beyond the gate.